morning, YouTube. Let me get the stream up, check it. Saturday morning, I hope everybody's taking it easy. Adjust this down just a little bit. There we go. A little better. Not being blown out as much from that sun. All right, good deal. All right. Wanted to do a boat update where I am with the boat and a few things I got done. So after I got the coupling off from the shaft side, and we'll just back up for those that don't know what's happening. How you doing? Good morning. I'll tell the quick story. So I was in the Dismal Swamp. I hit a couple things in there, probably some submerged logs or whatever. It done damage to my running gear. It bent my strut, which put my prop out of alignment. These are all from here. I'm surmising what happened. The vibration, because of it being out of center, backed the nut off from the transmission, and the whole coupler came loose. So at that time, I had the coupler that I had to separate, because through the process of YouTube lives and talking to people, people were giving different opinions about what it was. I thought I had an issue with the transmission itself. Come to find out, it was the coupler spinning on the output shaft, which was creating the noise. Long story short, I made a decision to haul her out. I knew once I got in the water and I seen how it was bent, how everything was out of alignment, that wasn't good, and that wasn't going to be fixed, very easily. Not in the water, obviously. So I hauled out here at Chesapeake Yacht Sales, or Chesapeake Yachts. It's a boat yard, and it costs $500 to haul out. So that's kind of important later on in the story. So I got it on the hard. I took the strut loose. It was clearly bent out of line. Got the props off. It was also bent. The other prop, it has a little bend in it as well. And I separated the two couplings. Now I had, at that point, I showed the couplings, and some people were like, well, yeah, just buy you a new coupling and bolt it back on and you get some Loctite, which I did actually do that. But for the research, I actually did get Loctite in preparation for that. But I ordered the coupling, and at night, the more I would think about it, I'm like, that coupling should not have just come off. And even from it being out of round, and if it did come off, there's probably some damage to the output shaft that coupling is hooked to. Now, y'all know I've been saying that I still have 4,000 miles left on the trip of the Great Loop. Not to be done this season, but over the next 2 seasons. So when you're thinking about that, some people say just put the nut back on and Loctite it on. When you got, if that was just like you're boating in your waters, like where you live, that's probably maybe an okay thing. But when you're boating up as far away from home as I am, you got to make sure things are as good as they can be. So the more I thought about it, I was like, I need to pull that transmission, or at least part of it, off so I can verify, because I tried to take pictures, and actually the pictures look pretty good. Like from what you're looking at them, the splines look okay. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, something was telling me you better pull that transmission off, or at least what is called the reduction housing off, and inspect it closely. So I did that. And I'm gonna show and tell. I got show and tell, so no, I'm not getting ready to do any exams on anybody. This is just because it's very dirty. But I'm gonna show you what I found. And I'm very glad that I pulled it off. Like I said, if you're for those that are watching because they're learning, maybe they're wanting to do the great loop. When you're doing the amount of mileage that we'll do in the great loop, you have to pretty much answer all these questions. You don't want to be halfway doing things, let's put it that way. All right, let me grab this shaft and I'll show you what I'm working with. So first of all, this whole thing comes out and it's basically up in there like, well, I would turn that around. This would go through that opening. Let me actually show you. That sticks out like this. All right, and that is what I was looking at. That's all I could see. Remember, I showed y'all pictures of that, and that nut goes on there. All right, so to get this off is actually pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 9/16 bolts. But then what you can't see is there's 2 5/8 coming from the back side. Okay. So I took them off and it actually comes apart pretty easy. Now I got to get it back on whenever I fix it. I got to fix those splines, get those splines lined up and it'll slide on. Now let me set this down and show you the This is why I'm glad that I did it. Can y'all see them? You see how this is all wore down? This was closer to normal up here. You see how, yeah, there you go. You see how wore down this is? And that's from that coupling running on there, eating that up. After talking to a company down in North Carolina, and it was a guy that does this all the time, and he said, and this was part of my decision of pulling that loose, and he said, because that's who I ordered the new coupler from, because I had a lot of people saying, oh, just get a new coupler and slide it on there and put some Loctite and you're good to go. That's who I ordered a coupler from, and he's like, if you need a new coupler, he's like, you probably need a new output shaft. He's like, it probably tore them both up. So he was 100% correct. And so here's a lesson to learn from some of this is you always reach out and get to the expert, the person that does it. Remember I talked about this when we were changed the motors out. You want to use somebody that does this very thing every day, and they do it multiple times because they know what they're talking about. They do it so where they can tell you things just from memory, and they know it front and back. Some people said, and this is the reason I bring these things up, is not to be negative towards what people said, is to help people who are trying to do this in the future. Some people said, oh, just take it to a transmission shop. There's several local and you can get it fixed. No. You gotta have this thing done at somebody that does these particular ones every day. So that's what I've reached out to. And the guy said, he's like, if your coupler is bad, your output shaft's bad. And he's like, even if it's not so bad that when you get a new coupler, because the splines are good on it, he said you give it just a short period of time and it'll burn the rest of that off. So I believe he was 100% right. And looking at that output shaft, I probably wouldn't have made it to the top of the Chesapeake Bay, and I'd have been down again. So that brings me to a question that I often get, and it's because some of y'all follow real close, and y'all know exactly what's happening. Some people pop in and out, and they see these videos. So this whole thing, I pretty much knew from the beginning, from my experience in boating, was an end to this season. Because just being able to, so here we are now, as of yesterday, we know that output shaft is bad. and now I got to track that down and get either a rebuilt one or whatever. And from what I'm getting quotes already, the very minimum is $1,000 for the output shaft, and that's if I buy the shaft and do the work myself, or buy one that's already rebuilt. But the point is, once I get to Florida, I have a lot more time to be able to track down my parts, whatever. So definitely, and if I have it done, and I'm going to do some research, and all this will be up so for people to know, I'll get it done by a company that does these every day. Now, there are a couple companies that look like, and people sent me these, so I appreciate those that sent some of these. Hale Marine, Hale Marine, is right up here in the Chesapeake on the western shore. That guy's got videos. I may work with him, I'm not sure. And then there's a company, Basic Power Industries, down in North Carolina, down towards the southern end of North Carolina. He's the one actually that when I called him, that one older guy, and you typically want to deal with some older guys that do this all the time. They were like, he's the one that said your output shaft's going to be bad, and he was 100% correct. So those are a couple of companies locally, and all this information over the winter, I'm going to start a tab on my website for basically for whenever I say go to this tab on my website, and it's places that I will have personally recommended just because I dealt with them. And then, as people, tell me about places, one of the things I want to do is reach out to those places, and because usually chatting with them, you can tell if they know what they're talking about or not. You can tell because they'll just tell you step-by-step things to do. So the Hale Marine up in Chesapeake, when I called him, he's the one that said there's 2 hidden bolts down below, because I hadn't found any service manual yet, which I'll have very soon, to know that they were there. He's like, oh yeah, there's 2 on the bottom, because I said, well, I got 6 bolts out, because I'd already asked somebody this. I said, so how many bolts is it? They said 6. Well, that's the 6 you can see. There's 2 hidden ones that you don't see. Those are 5/8, and they're a different size, actually. He's like, oh yeah, there's 2 5/8 down below. Well, I could never even see them, but I could feel them, and it was pretty easy to actually take this off. So going forward, if you have the same problem, my new system that I've come up with, y'all, and I say new, some of you probably have already heard it, but I say paddles, like the paddles that we paddle with on the kayaks or whatever. And my paddle system is 1 to 5, 1 being the easiest and 5 being the hardest. And I would give this a 3.5 paddles. I would think that most people with just two wrenches can take this off. Now I'll let you know about going back, but I'm sure it's pretty straightforward. I'd say that most of you could do this. I'm shooting the video so that I will where you will be able to see it. And then for future reference, when people have problems, maybe between y'all and me, and someone says, how do you do this? I'll have that how-to video on my channel. So that's where we are. We got that thing pulled out. I'm actually excited about that I now know that will not be an issue whenever we get back underway next spring. Which brings me to the point, I get the question a lot, when do you plan to jump off? I plan to jump off April the 1st. Just talking to people around here, it's probably still cool, which is something I'm excited about, because that's the other downside, is late summer doing the Chesapeake is like a lot of places, it's freaking hot. The AC on this boat will not keep up. Like during the day, you can't really even be in here. It's just, you could be, but you'd have to open the windows. It's just too hot. So now in April, it's going to be nice and cool. So I look forward to, again, spending my month or longer easing up through the Chesapeake and hitting all these places that people are telling me about. So, so April the 1st is my jump off. I do plan to come back either 2 weeks early before the jump off, or one time like in January, let's say, and do some repairs. Like I hopefully will have that fixed by then, so I can get a jump. I'm also going to do some painting and stuff on the hull, and so I do plan on coming back for a week or two, and then try to get everything ready. And that way, when I come back just before April the 1st, do my last few things and then splash the boat for the season. So that's what the plan is. Let's see here. Let me look at a few questions. W. Ned, what's happening? Brandon, I'm doing good, feeling really good. I am excited about getting back to Florida. If y'all can imagine being away from your home for months like I have, and grandchildren and my kids. Actually, my son's birthday today. Happy birthday, Tyler. And so I am excited about getting back to Florida. There's a ton of content in the winter to be done. And so I'm excited about that. But it's like I told a buddy yesterday, I was helping with his boat. I'm probably, in just a couple of months, they're going to be looking forward to getting back on the boat because I've been on my adventure so long. But the adventure will continue, let's just say that for sure. Low Ready, good morning. Captain David, Grout. Let's see. Grout said 44 watching, only 9 likes, which I see some people are definitely hitting the likes. Y'all hit that like button. If you don't mind, smash that like button. Byron, good morning. Looks like you have a plan, working the plan. Good luck on your repair. Exactly right. Remember Matt Damien in The Martian. Got to work the plan. So now we have identified what the problem is, and we're well into solving the problem. It just goes to show you, like, whenever the problem occurred, and whether it was season ending or not, this would have been a whole different story, guys, if this was been in the beginning of the season. Remember back with Marty's engines, that was the beginning of the season. So guess what? We had to overcome that problem, and we did. We pulled 2 engines out, replaced 2 engines. So the only difference in that and this is at the end of the season. And a lot of people were like, well, you still got a month or 2 or whatever. It costs $500 to get hauled out. So even if I could get all this fixed in the next week, which would be impossible, I think, not being negative, just being realistic, then I would be going back into water just to cruise for a month and again get hauled out again. And at that kind of expense, again, I'm on the end of my cruising budget, not on the beginning. So anyway, so that's a good point there. Brandon, what about the bearing? Yeah, so that's a good question. I planned on replacing all of that. Like I said, I probably will try to just find a good rebuilt unit for price wise. But if I have to cause a cost rebuild it, everything in there, I'll get new bearings. Yes, absolutely. Good point. Let's see. Good morning. You'll be good when you're ready to get next spring. Yep. Great choice to check it all. Absolutely. Again, I can understand some of people's thoughts there. You know, if you're in your own waters, like when you're in your own area and you kind of patching it because you're only a few miles away from your boat, maybe, but not when you're going further away from home and you got 4,000 miles left. You got to do it right, or it just wouldn't be wise. Glad you picked the guy in North Carolina, definitely an expert. Yeah, Hell Marine does a lot of videos. Now, I'm not 100% sure that he'll be the one that does the work for me, but I will actually feature him. And I'm thinking about, after I talk to him, going up there to his place and maybe doing a video. It just depends on the time. And it might be next season, but going to his place, because when I find good shops like this, that's part of what I want to do. Is when I find repair places, I want to share that so that people, when they need help and they don't know where to turn to, that maybe they can turn to that. But just if I don't drive a point home. Let me make sure I drive this point home. When you're doing repairs like marine transmissions, marine engines, don't go to your standard transmission shop. Unless they do these every day, because some of these guys will just not be busy and they'll say, oh yeah, we can fix that. But they don't do it every day. It's just a whole different animal. Get someone that specializes. And when they specialize and that's all they do, you're going to get a good product back. Trust me, I've learned this the hard way. So let's see, Ken Lanier, good morning. Hello, ready? Yeah, happy birthday, Tyler. Thank you, Loretti. Jay Hen, Captain, hope all is well. Everything is well. Making good progress. Yes, sir. Thank you. Glad you have everything under control. Thank you, Danny. Grout, Mike, have you ever thought of having a family member go with you next April? That would be the buddy system you can rely on. I planned on having people aboard that next season for sure, and you'll see that offering coming. But the problem with having family members is I'm retired and a lot of people are working. It's not so. Remember, so boating is kind of like skipping school back in the day. Remember, if you skip school and everybody else, the people you went and played with, they were all in school. So you didn't really have anything to do, and you found out that ain't so cool. You know what I'm saying, as far as skipping school goes. So it's kind of the same thing. Most people are working. I do, obviously, y'all seen, I had people coming along the trip. And I plan on doing that a lot more next season to help with the cost, but to help show people who are thinking about doing this. So there's going to be a fee attached, obviously, but I'm definitely doing that next season. So, Clyde, good morning. Thanks for helping us learn to manage the repairs on the boat. One day I will have my own boat. When you show invaluable taking care of your boat. Good deal. That I know everybody says break out another 1,000, but I get immense pleasure out of my boat. That's why I said a minute ago, I probably will be looking in a month or two, be wishing to be back on the boat. You know, it's just a change, really. So I strongly suggest people having, and I've told the story if you haven't, some that haven't heard it. Back in the day when I had young kids, I was on a budget working as a fireman and raising kids. I paid a bunch of child support for many years. So I kind of had to make a decision. This was back when motorcycles were getting popular, and I was deciding what I could spend my money on for passions. Well, obviously boating was one of my passions. But really at the time, everybody was buying motorcycles and always doing the motorcycle stuff. But I was like, I can't really do that because I got kids. And if I did the motorcycle thing, I can't really take my kids with me, right? So I chose the boat and the bigger boat so that when I had a weekend free, we all went. And it was the best decision I ever made. And I learned a lot through the processes, and for which brings me here today. So I personally believe a boat is an awesome, let me say again, awesome family thing. I know it costs money, but just getting kids out on the water and exposing them to all that there is to nature is very gratifying. And my kids grew up being on the water. They have tons of memories from that, so that's a good thing. Christopher, couple tropical depressions heading over here. Will you head for the boat, or will you head for the boat, but should one head that way? I'm not worried about it. So again, some people that follow know this app. This app here called Windy, and you see it's got a little W. That little W is called Windy. Look at, if you want to, for fun, but to see, Windy is one of the, I don't watch any other weather channels other than Windy. Windy, the cool thing about Windy is you can pull up what current conditions are, but more importantly, you can scroll ahead in time. And just for fun, download Windy and look at it and see what I'm talking about. It'll show you what that storm is going to do, and I bet you that storm, that it's dead on. every time, short of like one occasion that I can remember, that it wasn't dead on. But this is one of the best apps that I've ever seen. So if you download Windy, it shows that storm coming around off of Cuba, going up, ramping up. It'll speed up as it gets over the Gulf waters, because the Gulf is, remember I told you this time of year, you're like 90-degree water rough, and then this is showing it going in. Let's see if I can get it where I can see it. Y'all see it? You can. It shows you it going in. Let me scan through time here. It shows you that going through. See that? Where it's going to go ashore. And I bet you that's dead on. Now, let me move it through time. So by Wednesday or Thursday, it's basically gone. It hadn't even got to us. So I say all that to say I'm not worried about that one at all, because Windy shows it going more westerly of us and then just breaking up over the mountains and becoming no threat really at all. So I've relied on Windy, and it has saved me on many times. But the question basically is, do you stay on the boat with a hurricane coming when you're on the hard? No, that wouldn't be. I'm not. This thing is setting. I don't know if y'all can tell. I'll do a. Actually, we'll do a walk around, because I don't know if y'all have actually seen it setting on the hard. When we finish this up in a little bit, we'll do a walk around. But yeah, this thing is about 4 foot off the ground, and I did have them intentionally put it between some of these bigger boats for while I'm gone. But no, I'd get off the boat. I'd feel more comfortable in the water tied to some trees and stuff than I would be up on the hard. Let's see. AO 1968, good morning to you, Isaac. Good morning from Australia. Yeah, hope you don't get too bored on the hard. Well, I'm hoping to wrap it up here. I'm to the degree of doing winterization stuff. So I'll probably only have a day or two of that left. And I'm really waiting on a part to get delivered, that coupler. That's the only thing about that company down there in North Carolina, is they said it was going to be here in 2 days, and this is, about 4 days later, and it's not. But supposedly it's supposed to be here Monday or maybe Tuesday. So whatever. As soon as that's here, I'm going to be ready to start heading south. Although I'm going to the North Carolina mountains for a couple of weeks to my buddy's mountain man Jim Reddick. We got some projects there to do. But we got a lot of more content there, a lot of rivers for kayaking and all that. So we'll talk more about that. Kenneth said, off topic, thoughts on Bobby Bowden Gold Nose? Well, actually, FSU thing is behind me. One of the best coaches of all time, obviously. So sad to see that. But one of the best coaches of all time. So I'm definitely a Florida State fan for sure. I think y'all have seen, I'll show it in a minute, but I got my FSU paddle up there behind me. Or behind y'all, I should say. Let's see. James said, the one and only time I skipped school, I went to McDonald's, where just so happened my father was eating there. He whooped me all the way back to school laughing aloud. He didn't do that again. Okay, all right. Was Chef bent, or that's probably Shaft? I don't think so, but I don't know 100% yet. So that'll be something to be determined. I don't know yet. It does, now, speaking to some people, it doesn't look like it. Once I got it loose from under the boat, and I'll show you that. I'll show you the camera. We'll line that thing up and I'll show you. But to me, it doesn't look bent, so we'll see. Low ready, riding along someone else's boat is a great way to log hours for your captain's license. Very good point. Anybody thinking about doing getting their captain's license next season, whenever I'm offering that, you get a minimum of 8 hours a day log time. So of course I'm a boat captain. I can sign off on your log. Very good point. Let's see. Paul, hi Mike. I may have missed this in the earlier video, but did you have hull insurance? This type of damage due to hitting something should be covered. Yes, I do have it on the boat, but let's just say if it was much more significant than this, I'd probably start going after it. But I'm of the opinion like this might be $2,000. I don't know exactly what my deductible is, but it's probably pretty close to that. So this is probably one of them things I wouldn't want to file a claim on. I want to save it for, my insurance is pretty freaking cheap. I think it's like $2,400 a year on the boat, and that includes the captain insurance part of it. So I don't want to lose that company, so I don't think I would be doing that on this particular deal. So if it was like much more expensive, I probably would, but I think it's right on the borderline there. Jay Hen, life costs money. That's right. Get out there and do it, Captain. You have the courage to step out and manifest your dreams. Good for you. Thank you so much. And that is true. You know, we just talking yesterday, the boats, talking to my buddy Richard yesterday, probably the most knowledgeable boater there is. And we're talking about, y'all hear me say it all the time, that when you're on a boat or anything mechanical, something's always breaking. Like if it's grinding together and it's working together, it's literally breaking. And over some period of time, it's finally going to come loose. Everything does. So if you kind of have that mindset that when, you know, something is going to happen, instead of, oh no, this happened to me and what am I going to do? Then you just say, well, when it happens, deal with it and bounce forward. So thank you, Jay Hen, appreciate that. Captain David, does the yard you're in use hurricane straps on the boats? I don't know. They probably do something if the hurricanes are hitting here, but it's my understanding they don't hardly ever get them, to be honest with you. That's what they said. I won't hold the FSU part against you. Okay, all right. You must be a Gator fan. All right. Let's see. I'm going to finish this up with a quick walk around. I'll show you the yard and some things from the underside of the boat. Let me grab my shoes. One of the cool things about my GMC, y'all will see here in a second, and I utilize, let me turn this camera around and do this without falling off here. Look at that step system. This is a good little come down though here, but walk over here, step to there, there. Just got to be careful when you step in there, don't go all the way off the back, down. Look at that. That utilizes that pretty good. So, let's come over here. All right, what I'm going to do is try to look straight up this prop shaft, let you see it. That's a pretty good view there. That looks to me pretty freaking straight. What do y'all think? Now there's some crap on it, but that to me looks pretty straight. Also the rudder's bent just a little bit, but I don't think I showed y'all this yet. Or for those that did. See how, you see where flat is, and that should come straight out and go down. That thing's dang near 3 inches out of center. See that? That thing ought to be like over here. It ought to be like that one. Hopefully y'all can see that. So obviously I'm going to replace the cutlass bearing too while this is being done. But have time. This is a trailer one of the subscribers gave me. I put some new tires on it and changed out the bearings on one side. I'm going to do the other side before we get underway. This happened to me the other day. I know that's my spare. The other one's I already got it off. That's the good spare, but show you this. So that's what you're dealing with as far as the yard. I tell you, this is the cleanest yard. This guy here. Hang on a second, guys. Let me. Hang on a second. Oh well, I don't know why that did that. Oh, there it was. So this yard, this guy keeps this. I swear to God, he's out here every day pushing all this stuff down. He's got a big front end loader, a big pipe that he uses. He keeps this yard very clean. Cleanest yard I've ever seen. And actually for the money, the cheapest that I've seen in the Chesapeake Bay area. So it's $250 a month to keep the boat on the hard here. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So yeah, I'm thinking about like damaged over this year. I'm replacing these and painting from the water line to the rail. That's what I said. This is all from hitting stuff in the water. This was not like this when I started. This is from hitting stuff while underway. Every bit of these are little nicks from hitting stuff in the water. These little nicks. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, let me get over here and then read a few more comments and we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Hopefully this answered. Yeah, I hit something hard for sure. Did the vibration do anything to the stuffing box? So that's something I'm waiting to see. I do want to replace it. Is my plan to get that shaft off, hopefully slide that out and replace all that for next season. Yeah, if it ain't straight, y'all can't see the name, I'll know exactly. You'll know pretty quickly. So part of what I planned on doing is FYI, and this would be next season when I have the new when I have the new one bent back and I put that back up under there. And this is what one of the mechanics said. Once you put it all back together and you take and you line something up on this and you run it up right to the tip of the shaft, so kind of like a point, like a nail or something, and then of course this is after the transmission is fixed, and then run that and you would see if that thing is spinning true or not. So that's what my plan is. It sounds like a good way to check it. Jay Hen, boy, I tell you, people don't realize it, but the blessings is what gets me through this. This could have been so much worse. I could have been out in the middle of the Chesapeake in an area that was so much more expensive. I'm just telling you, the blessings that have abounded on this trip. So I'm not upset about it. I'm just rolling with it. Yeah, exactly. W. Ned, that's exactly right. That's what I was just saying is once I get the transmission and everything and all this all back together, the strut back in there, then I can run it and I'll be able to see how true that is. And then I'll deal with it if it's out of true at that point. So That's exactly right. All right, guys. That's the update for the day. Spinning back around here. That's good time sitting on the hard. That's what you got to deal with sometimes. But again, Chesapeake Boat Yard, or Chesapeake Yachts as it's called, is a great place. Super nice people. If you happen to be in this area and you need a haul out, the haul out may not be as cheap as some places, but definitely the time sitting on the hard is, and very professional people. So I hope y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. I got a few more things I'm gonna be working on, and then very soon here I'll be heading back south, heading towards Asheville area in the North Carolina mountains. That'll be my next stop, and then heading on in a couple weeks after that down Florida. Got a lot of stuff coming. Y'all stay tuned. Thanks for all your support.